Welcome back to the shop, everyone. We're back to the upper cabinets. The last time we dealt with these, we got them this far. There's two of them. I just have this one in here for now, so I can kind of work through this. And then the bigger one will be the same thing, but just slightly bigger. And there really isn't a whole lot structurally to finish these things out. They just need, the other side attached, the top, and the bottom. But the bottom of the cabinet has all the weirdness of all the power and lighting and everything that I need to kind of work through and figure out still. So that's another reason why I'm just doing one for now, because that bottom section is going to get a little bit weird, or not weird, but it's complicated. There's a lot of stuff going on. So to get started, I want to get the side attached and the top attached, and then get the bottom cut to size. So last time when we made this case, we made the side panel, because this side here is already attached and installed. So I just have to get my other one here, get this prep to go in and get it attached, and then make my top and bottom panel. And I'll see you back and we'll start getting into all the weird stuff happening within and underneath that bottom panel. I'm just going to set this in here for now, and I'll try and walk you through all the things that have to go in here that all have to do with this bottom panel. We have two lighting systems. We have the electrical for the countertop appliances, and we have the closure mechanisms for the doors, two doors as well. So as a quick refresher from last time, this is the cross-section view of the upper cabinet. So here is that bottom panel laid in there on top of that bottom rail. And there are a couple things going on down here. We have the under cabinet lighting. This is going to illuminate the countertop. And in the back, we have a plug mold, which is where all of the countertop appliances can plug in. And then in between them, we have this hollow area, which is a electrical chase for all the things going on in the cabinet. So here on the bottom, along the front, we'll have this aluminum profile. It has a diffuser that clips into it, and that'll just get some strip lighting mounted in there, and that will be the under cabinet lighting. You can see that the profile is less deep than the depth here, so this needs a little spacer to get it down flush with the bottom for a nice kind of clean finished look. And then along the back will be the plug mold, and that's what this thing here is. That's what a plug mold looks like, and they'll get mounted back in here somewhere. I have to put a spacer because we have the backsplash tile coming up in here, so I want this spaced off the wall a little bit, and then we'll have a little catches for the panel that'll kind of cover this up. So these are the easy ones, at least as far as wrapping our minds around it. The electricians already ran power for this one here. This one is going to be tied to all the other under cabinet lighting. So this upper, the other upper that we made last time, and then the buffet hutch that we haven't made yet, they're all in the same driver, so that when you turn on the switch, all of the under cabinet lighting in the entire kitchen turns on at the same time, and that wire is already stubbed out. It'll be right around here on the wall. Same thing with this. There's a power wire coming out of the wall, which will enter the cabinet area in that chase down there. So I'll have to kind of plan for the entry of the feeds into the cabinet or into this electrical chase later on, but these are the easy ones. Now for the second light system, that's going to do with these bus bars in here. That's going to be the under shelf lighting for all the shelves. However many shelves are in here, they all have a light bar underneath, and that light bar touches the bus bars, and that's how it gets its power. So we have to get power to the bus bars, and we also have to tell the lights when to turn on, ideally when you open one of the doors. I have this kind of mocked up here to walk through it. I don't have the light bars for the shelves yet because they need to be custom made to the length I need, and I don't feel like ordering all of those until I have them all the cabinets built to their final sizes, and I have I can order them all at once. So I don't have them yet, so I have this driver which powers the LEDs. I have it hooked up to the strip lights. That'll be the under cabinet lights, but just for demonstration purposes, I just need this thing to turn something on. So by default, if you just have the driver hooked up like this and you plug it in, it'll just turn on the lights. That's not necessarily what we want. We want to be able to turn the lights, on and off with the door. So this driver has a switch hookup right here. There's a lot of different styles of switches. This one is like a little infrared proximity switch thing. So if I put my finger over this and unplug this back in, if I can do that, and the lights don't turn on. But if I move my finger, like you open a door, the lights come on. And this one has a fade up and fade down function. There's a lot of little things you can do. So next, the issue is that we have more than one door. So we want the lights to turn on when either door is open. So for that, you can get this little switch box that allows you to put more switches into the single switch on the driver. So if I plug that in, and I hook this other switch back up into here, now both of these will control the lights. So I'm going to just plug it in real quick. So both doors are open, the lights are on. One door is closed, one's open, the lights are on. Other one, lights are on. Both doors closed, lights turn off. So all this has to go into there. And since we're talking about doors opening and closing, the last thing on this is going to be the closure mechanism for the doors themselves. Since we're using butt hinges, there's no soft close or actual catch for this to actually hold the doors closed. So there's a lot of different hardware options you can have. You can get magnetic catches. You can get those physical, like little tab prong things that clip in and hold the door closed. I wanted something a little bit different, a little more interesting. It's over here. So I found this little doohickey thing, this little block. This gets mounted in the cabinet, and then on the door you have another magnet. And if I put this in the wrong way, of course, they'll resist each other. We want a closure mechanism, not an opener mechanism. So as the door is closed, it's attracted to the other magnet, but it has this plunger on here which resists the magnets a little bit and allows the door to close slowly and a little more gracefully than a big old slam like that. So this is the concept that we're going to do. So I bought a couple of these, and the biggest downside of the pair of these is that they're $50 a piece, but I wanted to see how they go together. So they have this plunger in here that now I know what it is, sort of. So I went out and I looked for these and I found them. The only problem is that they have different forces that you can have, and as far as I know, I couldn't find anything on here that told me if this was a soft, a medium, or a hard. So I bought all of them to see which one this is, and it's a soft. Like that, and this is medium, a little more firm, takes a little more pressure. Hard takes a ton of pressure to close, so that's way too hard. Medium is actually kind of nice, but the one that isn't included in this block is a soft. So now I know what the heck I need to make these, these plungers and then the magnets. And that's a super roundabout way of getting to the point of why I wanted to make my own besides saving money, I guess. And that's because I want to actually integrate these things into this rail right here. So they're all integrated in there, and I don't have this little block thing sitting in the cabinet. There's nothing to catch dishes or anything on. I think it'll just be a lot cleaner to have the 3 little things in here. And 3, I mean a magnet, the switch, and the plunger all mounted right in here along that front rail. So that's the plan for this area right in here. Since I have it, I figured why not make it look a lot cleaner and mount all these things right here along that rail. So in order to do that, I just need to keep in mind one small detail, and that is the doors are going to be the same thickness as the face frame. So if I just mount these flush with the lips that are on here already, these are going to stick out a little too far and keep the door from actually closing flush to here. So I will have to actually recess these a little bit below the surface and then drill their actual hole for all the length in there. So I'll have this with its wires need to be able to like get down in there and connect to the stuff in the bottom. And the stuff in the bottom is going to be the driver for these lights. Both cabinets will have their own driver for their own internal lights, the switch block, and then there's also the block that brings the power. Instead of going out like this, it'll go out to the 2 little prong things which connect to the bus bars. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. So all this stuff has to find its way in here. I think I'm going to start with the front and get my 3 holes figured out, get them drilled, and then well I guess we'll kind of go from there. So now with these access holes in here, I have a way to route the sensor wire up into the wiring chase, and I have a place to be able to like put a finger if you want to remove the plunger or the light switch thing. You can actually get access to it and push them out in case you ever got to change them or whatever. So that's kind of taken care of. And so the next thing I want to work on is getting this chase area a little more figured out, a little further along. So one thing with this cabinet is I want the return piece, the same piece as this on this end, to be able to be installed after the cabinet's installed, because I have this one going into the appliance garage cabinet, and this return piece is going to have to get notched around the style of the appliance garage. So I already went ahead and made that part. It has the same cutout detail for the power that's going to feed the adjustable shelf lighting thing. And then once this cabinet's already set, this can kind of come in here like this, and I can just slide it over here into position tight to the cabinet. I can do my little notch cut or whatever. and it's going to be attached in place later on. So that's what is happening here, and because this is variable, all of the little pieces in here are going to be run long for now, and they won't get cut to length until this is actually installed when we do the actual install. Well, again, up front we have the under counter lighting or under cabinet countertop lighting. That goes there. That has to come up quite a bit. And then we have this that goes in the back. But then again, we want to have some kind of filler. So I already made this guy. This is just a filler piece, which you got mounted to the back of the cabinet and gives somewhere for the backsplash tile to kind of come up into. So then we have to deal with getting these to the correct elevation. So I'm going to have to make some little blocks that raise this up the right distance off of the bottom of the cabinet, and also have some way for the cover panel to attach to. So I'll make a big rabbited piece that makes that one elevate to the right height, and then this one, same exact concept, just a little bit wider. We'll have another rabbited piece that elevates this to the right height, as well. And then once those little elevation pieces are made and ready to go, I got my measurements for that. That kind of completes the actual chase area, and then we can start working on figuring out where we want to mount all the various little bits and pieces and doodads that make the wireless adjustable shelf lighting actually work. But that's for later. I gotta go make some rabbits. Okay, now I can get my spacer blocks out of here. And this goes in here like this. That brings this channel up flush to the bottom, which is nice. And then in the back, you got this guy. This will house this plug mold like that. And then this steps down enough so I can have my panel stock attach here and encapsulate and close all of this so you don't see any of the wires or anything on the bottom side. And I made enough of these filler strips and everything for the other upper as well, so those are all kind of made and off the list. I was going to recess this a little bit, but I think it should be okay, especially if you put some vent holes. I'm not too worried about that. The other thing with this cabinet is it's not like the lights aren't always on, they're only intermittent use. So I'm less worried about this overheating. So I think we're just going to attach that directly to it and call it good. So I have all these pieces now that I need to paint, including the crazy return pieces for both cabinets. Those have to get painted. So I think at this point, I'm going to take a pause on the cabinet section and start working on making these corbels that go on here. They go onto the range side, and they kind of connect to the bottom here onto the wall. I'm going to get those made as well so I can paint those and all those little pieces at the same time and have them ready for install. So here's my block. Let's take a look at these corbel things. And to give you an idea what we're looking at here, here's that upper. This is the front profile view of those little brackets or corbels that go down there. If you look at the side view over top of the range, there is the profile view of that corbel there. Now further on in the plans, the Eckertex did supply me with a full-sized drawing of that part so I can make a template of this guy here. Okay, I think these turned out pretty nice. They look pretty decent and consistent. And it's only 2 of them, so it's not too bad. And inconsistencies, the painter will fix. So this is going to mount on here, something like that. It'll be set back the same amount as the lip here, a 1/2 inch back from the edge. And this will give me a little bit of a catch thing to grab my bottom panel thing and support it a little bit. So this is ready to go to paint, and then every other little piece of wood I made so far can get painted as well. And I think while I have it here, I'm going to pop a few dominoes in here so they're ready to go for install. And once the cabinet's on the wall, I'll just glue these in place up into the cabinet. All right, spraying was just as much fun as you probably expected it would have been. So I'm gonna run through and get this one to the same point as the other one. And that's what I'll be doing next. Cutting plywood and drilling all kinds of holes. Okay, all of the components for the underside here are back from paint. So let's go ahead and start making this bottom section look a little prettier. So that's how the final wiring chase layout is going to go on this cabinet. This is where the feed is coming out of the wall. So that'll get it into the cabinet or whatever. And there's a plug mold in the back, the light bar in the front there, and the Corbel mounts there. And I'm going to go ahead and make the cover panel stock just so I have it cut to size and ready to go. I'm not going to finalize it until this is all installed so I know where that driver is going to be so I can cut my ventilation holes later on, but at least I'll have it cut to size for now while I have easy access to make sure it actually fits. The only weird thing with this is going to be made out of the same moisture-resistant MDF that I've been using for the rest of the project, but it only comes in 3/4 and 3/8 inch thicknesses, and this panel is 1/4, so we'll be planing some 3/8 down to 1/4 inch thick to work for this. Okay, so this is sort of the finished concept of what you'll see. Of course, this will be painted white as well, but this will sit in here and make it all kind of tied it up and clean and hidden and everything. So if you look up under here, you'll see this nice white cover panel with your plug mold and your light bar, and it'll be a really clean finished look on the bottom side of the uppers. So I think that's it for building cabinets. So let's go install them, I guess. So, you know, before we start slapping cabinets on the wall, it's I think it makes a lot of sense to take a look and make sure the wall is actually doing what you think it's going to do. You want the wall or the cabinets to hang plumb. If they're not hanging plumb, the doors will move on their own. If the cabinet is tipped back towards the wall, if you open the door and let go of it, it'll close, or if you leave it like past 90, it'll open all the way. The other direction, if you just like pop the door open a little bit, it'll just go right to 90 and kind of hang there and flop. So ideally, you add some plums so when you let go of the door, it doesn't swing on its own. So I already knew this wall wasn't plumb. I really learned that when we set the appliance garage because I plumbed this thing up. It's freestanding on the floor, and you can see like the gap expand towards the top. So I know this wall is tipped back that way. And what I did to figure out, you know, how much it's tipped back, you can put your level on the wall, you know, get the bubble in between the lines, then measure the gap and see where it's at. But I used the little shims again. I put them on the level, and I used a combination of shims on there until I got the amount that's out of plumb figured out. So I know it's 1/4 inch over about 3 feet, which is what I want for these because they're 3 feet tall. So that's with it plumb there. It's gonna be hard to see on camera, but if I go to a 6 foot level, you can really see how far out it is because it gets exaggerated even more right around there. So it's out a good amount. So it's not a huge deal. The biggest thing is knowing that it's there, and to solve that, I'll just tack this 1/4 inch plywood up on the wall so that when we screw the cabinet into place up top, it's basically shimmed out at the top. So that takes care of the plumbness. And the other thing I want to check is going to be the straightness of the wall and see if it's doing anything weird. A lot of this is just knowing that it's there. So if I go here to here, this wall is what I would call perfectly straight for a wall. There's no wave or walk to it. But if I come this way, so it's a pretty good dip in the wall right here, and a couple of things that are happening. So this double line here, this is where the post is that supports the beam. So this is where the exterior wall used to sit, coming in here. So this was the exterior wall on the addition that was put on 15 years ago. This is now interior, it was exterior before. And then you came in a little bit before, and then we had the opening into the great room, which was here. So this dip here is from filling in that opening. So we'll deal with it. Basically, as I'm mounting this cabinet on here, if I screw it tight to the wall on this side, it's going to kick that cabinet in a little bit compared to the other ones. So we'll have to shim that out and make that not get sucked in as far. Not, again, not a huge deal. It's just knowing that it's there. So I'm going to throw some shims and stuff on the wall, and then we'll go from there. So there's my initial shims. They'll probably have to be adjusted a little bit. I left this one out because I can get to that one from below when we actually put this thing up here. Up there, you really can't get anything back there. This one's gonna go first. The first thing I gotta do is notch the top of the cabinet around the panel here. So I'm gonna put it in place and mark that notch location. Very nice. Ready? Oh my god.
This isn't heavy, actually.
Uh-huh. This isn't heavy, she says. Uh-huh.
I know, I'm holding it by myself.
More.
You have nowhere to go.
Okay, watch. I don't know how I'm gonna do now.
Yeah. Where's your bucket?
Way over there.
Want to get it?
Nope. Come and wheel over, please. Too much, too much. Push. Push it more. You gotta lift, you're too low. No push. Oh yeah. Use your whatever, core muscles or whatever you use. You drop a little bit and push the ceiling. Just,
I know, I can't see.
you're too high.
I mean, this is so.
Go up a lot.
Oh, there you go. It's fine. It's in my end, but now I gotta go up. Scratch the shit out of this. Just so you know.
I can't do this because you gotta come just down for me a down one.
What do you mean?
A down has to be able to slide in there. Matt from the future here. I just wanted to give you a little context as to what was going on here as we're doing the install, because I didn't take the time to mention anything as we were doing it to the camera. So my original plan for the install was to get all three of these units up here kind of at an angle, angled away from the wall that the big one is on, get them slid together and then slide them into the opening as a single unit. Once we got these up there, we realized that it was going to be really difficult to keep these things stabilized while working. I kind of had to scrap that plan. We're not tall enough to work above our heads like this with the weight that's up there. what I ended up doing was pulling the appliance garage away from the wall and assembling them in the opposite direction.
Are you okay?
And then sliding the appliance garage back in. Wasn't really a big deal. The appliance garage wasn't really set fully anyway. I hadn't finished screwing it off to the wall yet. So pulling it out and then putting it back in wasn't a big deal, and it made getting these upper cabinets in place a lot easier for two very short people. What an absolutely huge difference just having these things up here makes. Being able to finally see this like final three-dimensional look of what this wall is going to be. It's very cool. It's very dramatically different, and it's pretty incredible. So with these up here now, I can start actually doing the final tweaking to make sure everything is where it needs to be. So right now you can see I have this gap over here. This gap needs to move to the other side. I need to get this one off the wall a little bit. I should have done that when we were kind of setting them up here, but this needs to be gapped away so that when the backsplash tile comes in right here, the finished show is an even 2 inches, which matches all the other styles everywhere else. If I leave it like that, that'll look too small. So I'm just going to kind of shove everything over and get it all finalized left to right, and then I can work on making sure everything is perfect where it needs to be. One thing that I want to check on these is going to be that the uppers don't have any twists in them as they're being secured to the wall. That's sort of like the biggest thing that I'm thinking about as far as things in the future, because if those cases have any twists in them, it's going to make putting those inset doors in basically impossible. It's going to be so much easier if the faces of those cabinets are flat and not twisted, so that when we get to the doors, they go in, they shut flush all the way around, and it's just all nice and inset and perfect. So there is the finished install, the uppers. They look amazing, and it just changes the space completely to have these things in here, and it's like just to see it visually up there on the wall. It just makes a huge difference. So fortunately, it went super smoothly. Everything worked out really well. I mean, taking the time to put those shims back there on this unit made it so I just have to screw this thing to the wall and be done. I don't have to worry about it getting tweaked out of position, and it matches up with the hood surround exactly where it needs to be. So that's the upper section. Now we can take a step back and I can fix my mistake that I came across when we started making the uppers. That is, the center line should be over here, not over here. So the lowers can get swapped out. This one will be pretty easy because it's, fully accessible. I already unscrewed it from the wall. And just like I did with that unit next to the dishwasher, this one gets chopped down smaller. So I'll just come in here and take the box apart and chop the pieces 4 inches shorter and put it back together. Now the corner unit is boxed in here, but as long as I can get it like out an inch, it should be able to slide out just fine because there's nothing over here for the other face room to kind of interact with or mess with. So it should be pretty easy to get out. The difference I'm going to do here, this one needs to get 4 inches longer, but this comment that I got on Instagram when I posted about this, I think it's the way I'm going to go. It's really going to save me a lot of heartache, because to make this longer, I have to replace all of the horizontal components, the bottom, the back, and the stretchers. But because I'm using that magic corner unit, I only need the inside area here to be deep enough for the additional basket space. So it only needs to be as deep as this is wide. So I can make this whole cabinet 4 inches narrower basically, and not really have to make any mods to this thing. So I'll pull this thing out, I'll put the new face frame directly onto this box, and when it goes back in, I'll have this big gap here with some dead space in it, but it would have been dead space anyway because the space back here wouldn't have been used by the hardware mechanism that goes in there. So here's a fun realization I just had as I was about to start putting this back together. You can see the old face frame has got a bank of drawers. This one is missing this divider for that bank of drawers. So, hooray. Something else to set us back some more. So I'm going to put that divider in. I'm just going to pocket hold it in there and send us back to the paint shop. Well, that one's off of paint. Let's go ahead and swap this one out. I'm just going to do this here in the kitchen instead of bringing this whole unit back down to the shop. And this will be a lot easier than the other one because there's no cutting. The only weird thing I have to do is move the partition because I gave all of the extra width of the cabinet to the pull-out opening on this side. One suggestion that a lot of people had about the pot filler would be to, instead of mounting it centered where the spout is, where the origin point is centered, mounting it off-centered so that it's actually centered, somewhere in here, because this thing is, when it's folded up, it looks asymmetrical. So if it was mounted to look center, that's where it'd be mounted. This is actually centered. There are two things that I don't like about that. The first is, then you always have to fold it up in the same direction. If you fold it in this direction, then it becomes really weird looking because it's even more off center in that direction now. And the other thing is, we can get away with this right now because we're doing a backsplash tile. It's just a subway tile. But if you did some kind of mosaic, you'd probably want the mosaic to be centered in the space and this thing to come out from a center point in that mosaic. There's always a chance that this tile will change to something more elaborate than just a subway tile. So I'm going to stick with the actual center point mounting versus mounting it slightly off center to make it look centered when it's folded up against the wall. Okay, that takes care of that and takes it off my to-do list. Next, I'm going to finish up all the wiring chase stuff down there So I have all my trim pieces to install, and then once I get done with all this, we can go back and make the just the cabinet, the lower cabinet thing. The thing that we were working on that we got sidetracked on because someone made a mistake. Okay, there is the finished wall, or not really finished, but finished enough that finally like feels like something. I will probably leave these unglued. I'm just gonna stick them up here to see how they look. Probably leave them off until I get to doing the backsplash, and then I'll install them permanently. I just feel like, I don't know, fear of commitment, I guess. So there is our range spot. It's all centered where it's supposed to be. All my problems are fixed and solved, and we have a really good idea of what the facade here is going to look like. And there we go. It's starting to look like something, which is quite exciting. So that's going to do it for this one. Thank you as always for watching. I greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments on whatever all this stuff is, please feel free to leave me a comment. As always, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. And until next time, happy woodworking.